Welcome, everyone, to 24/7 Sports. I am Tom Loy alongside the 105 guys. We've got Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins and National Analyst Cooper Patagna. Signing day is right around the corner, so we're looking at 2025 recruiting classes all across the country and bringing fans a look at their soon-to-be signees. We're going to hit a few superlatives and state our take on many of these prospects. Up next, we're looking at Missouri. The Tigers currently have the number 17 ranked recruiting class in 2025, and there are 15 commits set to play for head coach Eli Drinkwitz. Andrew, we will start with you. Give me an early draft pick potential guy, somebody who's going to have a great college career, might even find himself selected in the first round in a couple of years.
Tom, I think it's Missouri's left tackle of the future, Lamont Rogers, number 27 overall player for us, number 6 offensive tackle, a kid we just made a 5-star prospect, and one we're excited to see at the Navy All-American Bowl in San Antonio. Just size him up in that best-on-best setting. Hulking individual with the athleticism, I think, to really protect the corner at the game's highest level. A bit of a waist bender, but I love how he finds leverage and how aggressive he is. The other thing that really stands out on tape about Lamont Rogers, how he gets out of his stance for a player his size. He can climb to the second level. He can find an assignment. He can move him out of the way. He's really good in the run game. I think it's a huge pickup for Missouri. Have to hold on to him down the stretch, but Lamont Rogers, an easy one for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Lamont Rogers as well for all the reasons Andrew just said, and I'm going to echo that. And what was interesting about our last update, we had a couple of spots where we felt we could get a little aggressive with maybe who we wanted to put in there, maybe take a shot on a guy. And you started watching Lamont Rogers more and more and more, and this is an incredibly deep tackle class. And then you realize, man, this guy's got everything. He's 6'6.5". He's 300 pounds plus. He's got 35+ inch arms. He's got a 7-foot plus wingspan. He's 10 3/4 hands. And then you watch the tape, and you fall in love with that part of his game as well. And Drew said it, a little bit of a waist bender, but I love the way he kind of attacks space. He can get to the second level, strong at the point of attack. And the natural part of his game is really kind of starting to take shape. He really kind of understands leverage, how to use his body. I think all those things are really positive indicators for a guy like Lamont Rogers, who still needs to develop technically at the next level. But I'm in love with this kid, big fan of his. And obviously, the more and more that we've watched him, he's kind of developed into that picture, that projection of what we thought he could be. And I think Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz has hit a home run here.
Two guys came to mind when I was doing this. One was Lamont Rogers. The other was the guy I went with, offensive tackle Jack Lang. I see a lot of similarities to Joe Alt coming out of high school, a player that I felt was going to be a future first rounder. I just see that with Lang as well, which is incredible. The embarrassment of riches they have along the offensive line in this class. But I think that one, too, will be a massive win for the Tigers long term. Day one impact, a guy who's going to see the field early and often. Coop, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Donovan Olode, the receiver out of IMG Academy. You think about him, he's 6'1", 200 pounds plus, and he just feels like he's like 6'4". This guy plays big. He's got 11-inch hands, maybe some of the strongest hands in the class. And you think about Missouri next year, what that receiver room is going to look like. No Luther Burden. Theo Weiss is out of there as well. So there's going to be some playing time available. And you think about IMG Academy. I mean, they are known for pumping these guys out on Saturdays and being able to play early. I think Donovan Olode fits that mold to a T, and really kind of one of the more physically advanced receivers in the entire country, if not the most, right? So I love what he brings to the table. I think Eli Drinkwitz has invested a lot in him personally from a recruiting standpoint, and this is going to be one of those guys that can kind of return the favor sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Coop, I went with Donovan Olode as well. I think he's going to be on some preseason freshman All-American lists because, like you said, someone's going to have to catch passes there at Missouri with what they're losing at the wide receiver position. I call Donovan a touchdown machine. Every time I've been at IMG Academy over the past year, and every time I've seen him on the 7-on-7 circuit, it seems like he's just crossing into the end zone or he's catching a pass in the back of the end zone for 6 points. He's extremely polished as a route runner, right? He can beat zone coverage, he can beat man coverage, attacks the football, like you said, and he's got that ready to play college bulk. I mean, he's already over 200 pounds. The other thing I love about him, Cooper, he's a competitor. He wants to win. Got dinged up during his senior season at IMG Academy. The offense suffered. He comes back right away. High volume of targets coming his way. I think he's going to be a name to know right away in the SEC.
Break out the brooms, boys. It is a clean sweep. I also had receiver Donovan Olube, I just love everything about his game. I don't need to go too in-depth. You guys crushed it. He's as sure-handed as they come. Big fan. He's not going to be on the sidelines very long in Missouri.
Tom, quick question. Is it Olube
Yes,
or Olabode?
I believe it's Olube.
All right. Well, apologies.
Let's get Donovan on here.
You could have told us that before we recorded.
Well, I have months ago, but it's cool. We'll move on to Boomer Bust. Now I think I'm back to Ivans on this one, but we'll go with an intriguing talent who might outperform or potentially even underachieve the current ranking. Kind of a mystery. Who do you got?
It's quarterback Mattzers, who was a major win for Missouri on the recruiting trail. I mean, Alabama was sniffing around. Georgia very much wanted Mattzers, and Missouri gets the job done. They were on him from the jump. They actually took his commitment before the staff had ever seen him throw in person. That said how much they liked Matt, how much they believed in him. Well, his senior season cut short, nasty ankle injury, one of the worst I've seen in my time doing this. And that's kind of a big setback for us, Cooper. I mean, we liked Matt Zollers at the Elite 11 finals. He's an athletic quarterback prospect with a high-powered arm, and he's a bit of a gamer, right? He will run the football. He will power his way between the tackles. The thing is, wasn't having the best of senior seasons prior to that injury, just completing 58.7% of his passes. His team was 1-3, 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, less than 7 yards per attempt. I love the ceiling with Matt Zollers. I just think he's a guy where it's going to have to all come together. And then certainly you mix in the injury, not ideal. Still believe in what he can be, but not as confident as I once was that he is going to hit.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Matt Zollers as well. I think there's a good bit of variance here, depending on who you ask at 24/7 Sports with the scouting team. And Matt Zollers is one of those guys. It's kind of tricky. You love the film coming off the junior tape, and the film is always going to be the baseline. And then you go into the Elite 11 exposure and you see a guy that's pretty streaky as a passer and maybe not as advanced as you thought he was. Got a ways to go with the footwork, I think mechanically as well. Kind of fits more into that developmental category. Kind of reminds us a little bit of Luke Kromenhawk, the same way we saw him last year, now playing early at Florida State, more circumstantial. But Matt Zollers, in terms of the arc of where you see him, I think the environment is going to be so important for him. I don't know if he's a guy that's going to be ready to play, to step in for Missouri and say, all right, I'm ready for all these expectations. As talented as he is, he's going to need time to add a little seasoning, add a little polish, get familiar with the environment, get acclimated to the speed of the game in the SEC. So Matt Zollers is one of these guys. If it all comes together for him, you're talking about sky's the limit. But if not, this could be one of those guys maybe we're looking back from a couple years from now and saying, all right, how do you end up here? So really kind of curious to see what plays out over the next couple years for him.
We're all on the same page for Boomer Bust. I also went with Matt Zollers. I mean, I love the athlete, dual threat, love the moxie, love the deep ball that, like you mentioned, Coop, he put on display over and over again at the Elite 11. Just want to see him develop and become more consistent and really take his game to the next level. Diamond in the rough, Coop, will come back to you. A 3-star prospect who could potentially see himself drafted at the next level. Who do you got?
I got to stick with my guy, Henry Fanuku, originally from Africa, only been playing football for about 3 years. And you think about him, 6'3", 285. And what I love about him is the versatility. I really think that he can play all 3 spots on the interior offensive line. Doesn't matter if it's left or right side. I think ultimately he's got a chance to grow into a really good center as well. Quick twitch, explosive, a guy that plays with nimbleness, can get up to the second level. I think he can play in either a zone scheme or a power scheme. So I love the position versatility there. And you kind of think about guys with a similar background. Jason Zandamela, another guy that was a highly touted kid that had African roots as well. Their ability to pick up the game quickly. When I was told Fanuku had been playing for 3 years, I was kind of shocked. So just in terms of the bell curve of where you expect this guy to be with maybe another 2 years under his belt playing organized football, I think there is a lot of reason to be excited. And I think this guy is a really kind of more of a high floor prospect, if anything, given the versatility that he offers.
I'm going with wide receiver Sean Terry, 3-star prospect for us. I brought him up multiple times for a 4th-star conversation. We'll see how things shake out at the end of the cycle. I know the guys at Power Missouri love Sean Terry, and it's easy to see why. He's a human joystick, extremely hard to get on the ground with his suddenness, his agility, his speed. He's got a basketball background, actually had a few low-level hoops offers before he turned his focus to football. He reminds me of Eugene Wilson at Florida. Might not be as fast, but I think he's just as quick, just as explosive. And he can also be utilized on those jet sweeps, swing passes, a guy you can scheme touches up to. We already talked about Donovan Olode, more of a polished, high-volume pass catcher. I think Sean Terry's a guy where you can get creative with. And what I really love about him, what he is doing as a senior, 1,200 yards of offense, 19 touchdowns. He's scored in 3 different ways, receiving, rushing, and he's got 2 punt return touchdowns. So Sean Terry, for me, a name to know at Missouri and a guy that I think could play relatively early given what they're losing at the position.
I am actually joining you on Sean Terry for Diamond in the Rough. He's just a guy that I know is just a 3-star right now, and people may, scoff at that and act like he's not a difference maker. But for Missouri, they see him as a game wrecker, a guy who's going to step in right away and play and be a difference maker for them. So they think that they do not have somebody like him necessarily on the roster right now, and I think he's going to get an opportunity to make a ton of plays when he gets there. So that wraps it up, though, for, as I said before, we're going to hit a ton of schools leading up to the early signing period in December. But for Andrew Ivins and Cooper Patagna, I am Tom Loy. As always, stay locked to 247sports.com.